thing, as far as local and state level.
You don't like him giving state secrets to Russia, huh?
I mean, it's just bizarre. It's just bizarre. But down to this level, that's what brought me in. And I'm working for the Democratic Party here. I'm giving everything I've got. In the primary, you got to support me. I'll tell you that right now. One thing that I would like to address is separating church and state. Now, I call this church down here the First Republican Church. Normally, up until this past year, or just recent, back in March or April, they have their Lincoln Reagan dinner at the church. Are there no Democrats welcome at that church? That don't make sense to me. How can you have a Lincoln? By the way, Republicans, you can have Reagan. Lincoln belongs to the people. You can have Reagan. But that's what I'd like to see addressed. You know, I was raised in church, and I was taught. First of all, let me go back to the last election, one before, Romney, Mormon. I was taught all my life that was a cult. Was that? Were you not taught that your entire life? They were a cult.
Well,
the evangelicals got behind Romney over the black Christian that ran for president.
well, I would say that I would not. I don't know if I really want to revisit all past presidential elections, but I think certainly Mitt Romney has his right to his faith, and President Obama has his faith, and we all have our own faiths, and that wouldn't enter into my calculation. And I certainly think we should respect the Mormon Church as any other thing.
Well, I do too, but I was taught my entire life they were a cult. That's what came out of the pulpit. My entire life. I used to be heavily involved in but that's. I think that if churches are going to be politically active, involved, I think they'll be taxed. So that's all I can go on.
Now you get the other side here. I'm going to give you a little bit of history on Pastor Sherry.
I'm Sherry Falk. I'm a retired Episcopal priest. And what Stuart is talking about, of course, what I hear you saying, Stuart, is how would you respond as governor to the overthrow of the 1954 declaration that politics, that speaking or supporting a specific candidate from the pulpit is a threat to one's tax exemption? Is that what you're asking? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that came through the president, through executive order. How would you, as governor?
Well, I mean, I believe in separation of church and state, and certainly think that that the Constitution guarantees that, and there's lots of different interpretations, and there's been lots of different things done by different religious groups, and a lot of things said in different places. And so I'm not really. I don't think we should politicize the pulpit, but at the same time, I don't want to make a blanket statement which would suggest that I think that I necessarily know what's been done wrong in the past or hasn't been done wrong in the past. I don't. I mean, I don't. But I believe in the separation of church and state. I haven't researched that question or followed that as closely as maybe I should. But
well, I think I speak for a few people in this room when I say that, you know, I have to acknowledge my own hypocrisy. I loved it in the 60s, and I'm old enough to have lived those.
Not by much.
Forever 39. But, you know, the black church adopted the idea of Moses leading the children through the wilderness in terms of liberation. And I adored that. That spoke to me a great deal. I have less enthusiasm for white folk like me to speak from the pulpit about a specific candidate. And this is becoming more and more a problem. It's more and more an issue. I remember in the 70s when talk radio and Christian radio took over all the AM radio stations in the South and combined nationalism and theology to create the modern evangelical movement. And there were people behind that. And I think that kind of narrowness, what Stuart is talking about, is a church here who for a while flew the Israeli flag. Now, that's dabbling in politics. That's overtly dabbling in politics. And so there are clergy who do not, who abide by the 1954 ruling, who are quite resentful of those who don't.
but
And
to taxing them is what we're talking
correct.
about.
right,
And we're
when you
trying
step
to
over a
tax
line when you become an advocate, or it's like any other nonprofit that becomes all of a sudden a lobbyist or an advocate, you're threatened with loss of your nonprofit status. Right. And I guess what I don't want to, again, I think it's a very complicated issue, and I think there have been a variety of times when, I think as you candidly say, you kind of agree with what one person's saying, and you don't agree, and whatever it is, it needs to be done fairly across, and sort of done and followed by everyone, and not change based upon the political persuasion of anybody.
If we're going to have rules, we need to play by the rules.
Right. Both,
How did you,
everybody,
John?
everybody.
I thought you did excellent.
Everybody.
Exactly what I would expect from you.
Everybody, yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with the 54 thing, but I'm just saying there's a lot of fact patterns that, you know, it's this thing. But separation of church and state is the constitutional provision.
Let me share what's going to happen to you in this county with separation of church and state. There are 300 churches in this county, and most of those preachers are going to stand up in their pulpit and preach against you.
But they're going to anyway, Sandy.
Well, they may, but the issue is still the same. When you leave it in place, it's going to happen to it.
And I think you are confusing something that's on the federal level with a state office that really can't do anything about it except abide by whatever. If something is done, it has to be done on the federal level.
Right, and so you, I mean, as a lawyer, there is a separation of church and state, and I think that is broadly accepted by Americans. And when you get into an issue like this, and if you're not almost make yourself an expert on it, you know, you don't want to say something that can be interpreted as also restricting someone's First Amendment rights at the same time then tampering. I mean, it's a complicated issue, and it's not an issue that probably I would be dealing with as governor of Tennessee, because it's not really a Tennessee issue. I think that's correct.
Well, but the General Assembly presented resolutions to make the Bible the state book.
Right.
Like the Beretta is the state gun.
We've already discussed the state legislature pretty thoroughly.
Of course, now you're seeing the extension of that whole theory, though, into the religious freedom stuff now. I mean, they're just really taking an extension of what the rule that they've broken, and they're now pushing it to extremes with gay bills and so forth.
Particularly in social issues.
Yes.
Issues
Yes.
involving women.
Yes.
Issues involving people who
Yeah. when you take Planned Parenthood issues where it really has nothing to do with, you can look at Planned Parenthood totally as a financial situation,